Hey, welcome. We're live here on reallibertymedia.com for worldtruth.org to play over there. So welcome, everybody. We are midway today. This is the halfway point of This Is No Time for Rational Thinking. 26th Voyage series. We're looking at the way the world works. and in doing so, I consider this metaphor examination of or presentation as we're all these independent vessels, right? We're upon the sea. And, of course, all these words have actual legalese meanings, too. So by taking a look at the all of things, by going and taking our vessel ourselves and connecting and conveying information and receiving information as goods in a sense. When we make port with another person, and see person again, all these words are legalese. So we can test the water, so to say. We set these buoys out that somebody pinged me, that we Cowboy Tech, welcome. Yeah, hey, welcome everybody over here in chat at reallibertymedia.com. Okay, so as I was saying, there's these buoys we say, and it's kind of like throwing the witch in the water, right? What don't float, you can kind of just disregard it. So it's more or less as taking reference points, and by having folks and looking at ideas, and then people that have the ability to present information on ideas. So using them then as an echo, we can take a look all about this whole wide world that we live upon, looking at all the examples of how things are. But to know how things are, we've got to know why they are how. And by doing that, we need to know all, of course, that grammar of who, what, when, where, to get that why for how. And that's the purpose of this. So it all kind of interconnects along the way, these points that and topics and discussion along the way. And like I said, this is midway, and I would be amiss almost if I neglected to talk about good old Mary Jane. You know, that's the English name, of course, of that sweet old gal down there south of the border in Mexico way, marijuana, better known as cannabis, of course. And we will give consideration to that 420 report here at about 20 minutes after the hour with the Buzz Beaver. So we look upon this world, right? What it is that has us encompassed. And I've got to tell you, what I see, a lot of people, I think, might agree that things ain't so good, not looking so good for these other vessels that have teamed up. They're actually, you know, what they would call a pirate. That's the true pirate. The portrayed pirate of lore was no more than that free vessel which wished to exist, and this, for me, which is obvious as whatever you want to define that, natural law, as being, as Dave would say, unalienable, and you could compare that word to unalienable, which that is a right that can't be taken. It means that we have the right. It's an expression that which we have. I've got to use the word right. Sorry. To have our life, we have the right to eat, to have shelter, to be unopposed, and when we make our way through this world in this life, that we come in no opposition against another, same self-right. So that's the purpose of this right here. And like I said, halfway through next week, well, Monday we got Larry Woods coming back. This right here, he's looking at doing things that have a positive effect, and that's a generality. We want to participate in what matters where we can around the world, whether that be central focus on a certain idea or even in discussion of what it is that is against us, because even to the ridiculous, I think that's even important to be discussed. It's a lot of things are so convoluted, and we've been conditioned at how we think. Dave, how you doing today? And unmute. Welcome, Dave. Miner Dave Everist from the Gallus Mining District up in the land of the Oregonians. How are you, Dave? I think we don't have Dave. Dave, can you hear me?
All right, are you there now? My mic got muted again.
Dave,
so,
where are you been, man? I've been knocking, dude. Dave.
Anyways, it's not. Anyways, sorry about that. Yesterday, the volume got turned down and I couldn't hear it. But what I'm going to cover today is I got a computer that's driving me crazy. It's talking to me. Anyway, so what we have here is we have failure in fiduciary duty responsibilities of public trustees. Now, first you have the agency that's is what they call a trustee that is by agency is a general. That means the person works for that agency. But if you have a named primary trustee to whatever trust you have, it can be any kind of trust. It doesn't matter. They can be public, they can be private, but they're due to be honored they're due to be represented by the trustee with fiduciary duties. And so today, I'm acting as Secretary of Twin Cedar Mining District and doing what's legal and lawful. I'm giving I called them up just before the show because I got a notice that the Inspector General's office of the Department of Interior is not going to get involved. So what I did was I served them back with the guy that I got an email to, and I sent him a legal notice. Then I called him and explained to him that he has a fiduciary duty to, as oversight as the Inspector General's office, he has a fiduciary duty to see to it that there's a trustee, and since he's not going to get involved, I'm forcing him to get involved. I made him the trustee, and now I said, you now have fiduciary duties. I'm getting ready to go on a radio show and talk about this. So, now, I've appointed him as trustee. If he fails to act, if I'm forced to go get an attorney, he'll be paying for it out of his own pocket, and it'll be forced upon him. It'll be imposed as a constructive trust. And he has to pay back every dime he ever worked for that agency back to the government. It's called waste, abuse, and fraud for failing to perform. He's not performing, so he has to give the money back. His wages, his pension, everything. So if the trustees don't want to act and and the oversight to the trustees don't want to act, where do you go? Well, you go and you impose a constructive trust. And so this is what we have to do as we the people. If you want to be a keeper of the Republic, get off the couch. Stop watching TV. Go to meetings. Do something. Don't just sit there and don't just do it on Facebook. Yeah, that's great for the publicity if you can get people to show up. But if you're sitting there doing nothing but sharing it on Facebook, that's not doing anything exactly. It helps if you're getting people out to these events. So what we need to do is we need to demand our trustees back, and we need to force them into it. And this goes for judges. They have a fiduciary duty to be not on the government side. When they talk about conservative liberal judge, what do you mean by that statement? Well, I found out from my attorney, a conservative judge means he's for the status quo. As a judge, it doesn't mean what it means politically. It means the opposite. See? Duality. They make people think that's a good judge because they put a brand of conservative on him. That means he's for the status quo. If you get a liberal judge that's a liberal socialist, then you got that kind of judge. And then you got liberal judges in the traditional sense. They follow the Constitution, like Judge Napolitano. That guy should be named for replacement to the Supreme Court, because that guy knows what he's talking about. And he talks about freedom. And he talks about unalienable rights. You have the right to be whatever you want, as long as it doesn't interfere with your neighbor, and you have a civil society. And this is where the government is creating anarchy and breaking up society. They're trying to reform their image. The government's trying to reform their image of we the people. And what they're going to do is they're going to put everybody in the same category. You're not in the partnership. You're not in the oligarchy. You don't count. Like if you go back into the days of the king and queen when we had them over us. Another way of saying a dictator. If you have one of those, then if they're tyrannical, they believe they have the divine right to kill their property. But remember, even a king is a subject matter. A subject. This is what we're talking about. What subject matter are you? Are you for freedom, liberty? I mean the real sons of liberty. I'm not talking about these guys that sit on the couch. I'm talking about the sons of liberty, like my namesake that fought in the Battle of Trenton and Princeton. Those guys were real sons of liberty. And remember, 57 men signed the Declaration of Independence, and they pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. Where's the honor? Where is the honor in government? There is none. They don't have respect for us. Why should we have respect for them? I don't say you have to earn respect with me, but you don't disrespect me, and you don't disrespect my neighbor. I don't care what color he is, what religion he is, as long as he's not out blowing something up. That's not right. We have to bring civil morals back, moral turpitudes. I don't shit on my neighbor, and he doesn't shit on me. And I'm sorry for the language, but I'm angry because I can't get the proper trustees to act. They're failing to perform. And this is and they're failing to perform on all levels of government. At this point, if I can't get the Inspector General, the watchdog, the internal affairs of these agencies to do their job, what good are they? You're fired. I want to fire the whole lot. I think 95% of the federal employees need to be fired because we don't need them. What we need is not to send our money to them. We got to figure out a way not to pay them legally. And so they don't put you in jail and take all your property and seize all your assets. And, maybe because the IRS run by the Treasury Department, the Secret Service might come in and conduct the raids. Remember, the Secret Service just doesn't guard the president. They determine if bills are counterfeit. They handle credit card and banking fraud. I don't know why they fell down on Bernie Sanders because they should have been investigating the hell out of him. But they fail on every level of government. But not every Secret Serviceman is a bad guy. There's a former one on Max TV, and I heard him say something, and I believe him. He made a statement at the end of his show on Max TV. BLM, I'm coming to get you. Well, that's a powerful statement from a guy that knows what to do. Because that's the guy I want assistance from. He's not in the government anymore. His name is Dennis. You should go to Max TV. He's the one that covered Bundy's and as a reporter. And that guy is an investigator. That guy you should watch. And that guy you should follow because he's going to tell you the truth. And anybody have any comments, just chime in. Anybody has any questions, just chime in. If you need me to mute up, I mute up to let other people talk. Because I can get carried away, and I can talk nonstop because I'm an everlasting pain in the butt of government agents if they're not doing what their fiduciary duty is. I'm not against government. I'm against this government. This government is becoming tyrannical, and it's only going to go. The shooting has already started, and they started it. Voyage is our modern day Bunker Hill. Because see, remember, the people that stood at Bunker Hill didn't make it out. Anybody got to say anything about that? He was trying to do a political thing. Remember, the First Amendment, the right to associate, the right to go to a public meeting without with immunity. If they know you're going to a meeting, they can't stop you. Even if there's a warrant for your arrest, you have immunity to go to that meeting and back to where you live before they can pick you up. Because you're under the Constitution, under the First Amendment, the right to assemble, to lay grievances at a county community meeting is an ultimate, absolute right not to be infringed, even if there's a warrant for your arrest for anything until after the meeting's over. This is to go to court, to go to trial, to go to hearing, anything that's a public community association or government meeting. And since the sheriff was there, it could be construed as him informing and making a complaint to the sheriff. And he has an absolute right to do that, and they cannot infringe on it. And I want the First Amendment upheld. It's not just freedom of the press, it's the freedom of assembly, the freedom of religion. It's not freedom from religion, it's freedom of religion. And get it straight. The government doesn't have any right to say in the public square, you can't have a cross, you can't have a menorah. It doesn't say anywhere in there that you can't display on public property anywhere in the First Amendment. It says it shall not be infringed. When do they understand that? It's because we've got duality. We've got really the religion of Gaia is the religion of Luciferians. Luciferians meaning is the worship of the worship in which it's a religion. They have a right to do that. They don't have the right to infringe on ours. And right now we have duality. We have good and evil. Which way are we going to go? Are we going to go for the good, or are we going to go for the bad? And I say we go for the good. We stand on a moral ground. And we stand for what this country was founded for, freedom for the individual to go freely, as long as he's not committing moral turpitude crimes. That's the Ten Commandments. Basically, in a nutshell, I'm not talking about stoning anybody. We go by the New Testament here. The one without sin cast the first stone. Well, there isn't anybody here that hasn't sinned. Well, some more than others. Well, I consider what Barack Obama is doing a sin against nature and God's intention. And this is why and I'm not really religious. I'm just taking it from the secular point of view they had in 1776. And it is, we left England because we didn't want to be involved with the Church of England. They were burning Catholics at the stake. They were burning Protestants at the stake. And they left. They came here because they had to. And it was a way to escape because there was a little bit more freedom because the king was a long ways away. And so you had a little more freedom. And as they got freedom, they learned about more freedom. And it grew, and it grew, and it grew. Well, they've been trying to take it back ever since. See, they really think that you're stupid and or ignorant, and that you're property. You're here to pay taxes, and that's all. And they don't care about if they can't right into the law enough taxes the government need for all their stupid government pensions and their welfare and all their stupid stuff, this country would be wealthy beyond means if we could get the leeches out of it. This country, it's being strangled to death by a seven-headed serpent, if you want to talk in metaphorical terms, the way Luciferians are, is you got Saturn as Satan turns. I read this stuff because it gets me out of the law, and it relaxes my brain from being angry. But then when I started looking at that, it's about duality. It's about good and bad, plus or minus, man and wife, son and sister, and so what we have to do is learn how to deal with our duality. The bad side of human nature needs to be suppressed, not with guns, with spirituality. Get it communing. The reason why I like my plane is it's the only place I'm relaxed. I don't feel like I'm being attacked by 50 different directions. When do we lose the right to be left alone? I don't understand. Why is government, they say they're here to help me. They don't really help me. They just get in my way. Sometimes I just want to be left alone by government. Why can't government leave the people as a keeper of the public? I demand it. Leave the people alone. Or in other words, leave Minor Dave alone. I don't need you in my face telling me what to do, when to do it, how to do it. I don't need you managing my life. I want to manage my own. Please let me.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
All right. Hey, that's the message of the day for the 420 report. 2 minutes past 420 somewhere. Thank you, Minor Dave. So with that, it's back to you, Buff.
Well, you're back to me. And so what we're my phone just said 10:22 a.m. So it's my other thing that's kind of doing weird things right now. I gotta take it in and get it looked at. Anyway, so what we got here is we have government agencies that have fiduciary duties, but there's other trusts within the department that they need to make the one person in a given area responsible, meaning that he has fiduciary duties to honor those. That's all his job is to managing the trust. His job isn't anything else. It doesn't have to be a lawyer. It just has to be somebody qualified that passes a background check, that's never been convicted of a moral turpitude crime, meaning that there's certain decorum people need to follow. I don't know how to explain it because I don't always follow the decorum because if you're poor, it's hard to do, and the government's made me poor. So not poor in money, not poor in spirit, not poor in individualism, because see, that's what my dad trained me to be. He trained me so that I could survive in hard times. I don't know how many people that could live the way I've lived. Some Chinese live better than I do. Now, my circumstances have changed because I went out and family have helped change them. But I'm saying is try living on $250 a month in cash and $165 a month in food stamps. Try it sometime. That's all the money you get, and you've been ordered not to work because you don't have a license for anything. See, because they want you to license in this state for everything, for every job. It's the way they get a control over you so that, well, you got a license, we'll take your license away, you can't work. We'll take your right to contract away. You don't have a license. So the only work I could find you didn't need a license for, because it was given in the grant, is mining. Yeah, you should take some safety courses so that you don't get hurt. Some people are too reckless, and they think they don't understand you can't cut corners, or you might break something, or you might get hurt. You have to play things smart. In all the years I worked in the power utility industry, I never got hurt. I got cuts and bruises that they had to treat, but I was never seriously injured because I do safety. So, but what they're selling us for safety is not safety, it's slavery. Just consider the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment got rid of slavery, and the 14th Amendment made all of us slaves to the United States government. And in 1871, when they incorporated, they actually changed the name to the United States of America. That's a corporation. I don't belong to that corporation. I belong to the Republic of the United States. And that's where I'm standing. I don't want to stand over there in the United States of America. So I quit calling it that. I refer to it the Republic of the United States. And as long as everybody uses the United States of America, where the United States, without putting Republic in front of it, they're not standing on firm ground. They're standing in quicksand. So what we need to do is we need to change the language back. Are you a citizen of the Republic of the United States, which means you're a citizen of the county of the Republic of the county you're in. You start referring to your county as the Republic of mine's Josephine. If you're in Jackson County, it will be Jackson County. That's Oregon. And then you refer to your state as the Republic of the state. And you don't refer to it as the state of Oregon. So now what we need to do is get everybody to go back to putting Republic in front of it. Then secondly, and then you make this statement under it when you share anything with it. As I am a keeper of the Republic, I stand with the keepers of the Republic. I promise to keep and hold to keep the Republic close to my heart. To hold the Republic.
Good morning. Hold on, let me turn my radio down.
Hi, Mr. Epperson, how are you? That's all right. Hey, this is Ralph Epperson. Oh, well,
by the way, did you see? I dropped off. So, okay. Yeah, I dropped off. So go ahead.
Okay, Dave, listen, stand by, brother, would you?
Yeah, it's on mute.
Yeah, David, go ahead and mute up there. So we have Brent online, and what a great thing this is, too. We have Ralph Epperson that's got added into the call. So, Mr. Epperson, this is Vince Easley. Yeah, we're doing some live radio right now, and we're on the subject of law on the land and legalese and the differences there. And like I said, Brent's on there, our Meister Brow from the RealLibertyMedia.com chat. But since you've been added in, let me ask you to speak a little bit. Just let me grab you right out of the middle of nowhere unprepared. And what would you tell us in these days and times that we live in, what and how that this war that's against us and all this governance, how would you describe it, Mr. Epperson?
Well, by the way, Vince, you can call me Ralph. Everybody else does, please. I appreciate your call, even though it came unexpectedly. I'm ready to talk anytime at the drop of a hat. So you just dropped your hat, and I'm ready to speak. Let me say this: the Constitution is null and void. It was made null and void in 1938 by the Erie Railroad versus Tompkins case. Supreme Court ruled the Constitution was null and void. We're living under the Uniform Commercial Code. This is a matter of easy documentation. Now, how could they do that? They can do it because of three steps, and I'll do it very briefly. In 1766, England passed the Declaratory Act. The Declaratory Act, anyone can find it on the Internet. That dog is a critic, I can hear. He says, I know you're wrong, Ralph. No. Please listen, dog, I'm trying to tell you. The Declaratory Act gave King George unlimited total power, all power. In fact, the purpose in the law, it says that the purpose of the law was to bind the people and the colonies. That sounds like they're grabbing power, yes, because they were granted the power to legislate in all cases whatsoever. The word all means all. If language has any meaning, the word all means all. It doesn't mean all except on Thursdays or all when the president sneezes. It means in all, every case imaginable, they've got the power. Now, 10 years later, in 1776, 10 years later, 1766 plus 10 is 1776. In our Declaration of Independence, down the very bottom, it points out that King George was creating an absolute tyranny over these states. Now, the word tyranny is defined as absolute power, but our founding fathers said it was an absolute power, which means to me they realized how important the Declaratory Act was. And then later on it says, let facts be submitted to a candid world, and they did that. And about the 22nd of it, it says that King George was suspending our legislatures and creating theirs with the power to legislate in all cases whatsoever. They used the same 4 words in all cases whatsoever, which means they specifically knew about the Declaratory Act. They didn't name it, but they named the power that King George was using over over America. Now, I'll come to that later. Okay, now we go 11 years later to the writing of the Constitution. Article 1. They divided the power between the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the executive branch. And those 3 branches were given powers under the Constitution. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 7, this is the last of it. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, gave power to the Congress to legislate in all cases whatsoever. They used the same identical 4 words that they used in the Declaratory Act, in the Declaration of Independence, and now in the Constitution. If words have any meaning, those words mean the same that they did in 1766, 1776, and 1787. Congress has total unlimited power given to it by our founding fathers. That's as brief as I can make it.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Ralph-Epperson. Now, for those of you who don't know who, I always going to say Mr. Epperson. I can't help myself, Ralph. Now, you and I have known each other for over at least certainly 2 decades. Back in the days before the Internet, my brother, he introduced me to your work. He had the 27-hour that you did on the Unseen Hand, and you did that on a public access there, I believe, in Tucson.
That's correct.
You're an author. You're a lecturer. You're a speaker, a teacher. You've been at this for a very, very long time. You and I used to speak on the phone, and have, I mean, when I say Mr. Epperson, I mean it with the utmost respect. We sat down for a glass of iced tea at the Triple T truck stop there, right off Interstate 10 in New Mexico, or that's at Arizona. Tucson, Arizona, yeah. Great guy. So you've written several books. Of course, the Unseen Hand, which you signed for me that day. You actually had sent that to me in the mail. When was that? Been back about 1999 or 98 or somewhere in there, if I recall right. But you've been speaking on the Unseen Hand, this guidance of that's behind this system that we live in. And for a very long time, there's a lot of great names that will, I hope one day that history will show as the great revelators, and I certainly count you as up there on very high on the list of people that have been working to help educate others and bringing about the change that we'd like to see and how it operates in this world. So I'm very proud that we accidentally added you to this call, and we'll bring Brent in, and that's Meisterbrow. But I'll give you some closing words, Ralph, and thank you again, sir.
Oh, well, you're very kind. I'm happy to help. Anytime I can be of assistance, I make that statement all over this country. Anytime I can be of assistance, please keep in touch.
Yeah, we've done several radio programs together, and such as with Chuck Ocelli. I love Chuck, the Ocelli Effect, and you and I need to get back together soon, because you actually have a topic that we've not yet discovered, and that's about the Mars orbit and stuff. If you'd like to go ahead and give a brief outline on that right there, then we'll pass the horn on over there to Brett and let him get back in, or actually get in here with a few words, and Minor Dave can come around to the end, I reckon.
You want me to just talk briefly about the orbit of Mars? Is that what you said?
Give us about a 5-minute synopsis of that right there, and you and we're gonna do a broadcast in the future, and we'll have to set that up to be very soon, and we'll do a broadcast together and cover this in its entirety.
Oh, you're very kind. Let me just make it very brief. In 800 BC, the Romans named the two moons of Mars Deimos and Phobos. How could they do that? Mars and its two moons were not found until the 1800s by astronomers. How come the Romans were able to see the two moons of Mars? Was it fictionalized? Did they make it up? Did they just guess? No, they saw Mars. How could you see Mars? Mars, every 54 years, was interacting with the planet Earth. It came within its orbit. It had an egg-shaped orbit, and so it would zoom out into space, then come back towards the Earth and cut inside its orbit, and then go back outside its orbit, back to the rest of its orbit, every 54 years. And in 800 BC, the Romans saw the two moons of Mars, and because when Mars came by, they estimate that it would be 20 times the size of the moon. So you could see it. You figure the moon is so big, you could see the two orbiting moons of the planet Mars. Now, isn't it interesting that when we draw pictures today, when we draw pictures of the devil is red and has two horns. Isn't that interesting? Mars is red and has two horns. Gee, that's an interesting coincidence, isn't it? Yes, it is, because it discusses the fact that the Romans saw the planet Mars. They saw it as a god. They saw it as a devil. They saw it as an evil power because of its destruction, and that became the devil. Two horns and red. The body is red and the two horns on the top of his head. So it's just something we should talk more about, because the true history of the Earth has not been written. That's as brief as I can make it.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ralph. Hey, we appreciate you coming on, and I'll get back in touch with you, and we'll set up to where we can get all of this, because I think it's quite interesting.
Okay, anytime, Vince. Keep in touch. Thanks very much.
Okay, talk to you later. Hey, Brent.
Hey.
How you doing, brother?
Doing all right, thanks.
Yeah, hey, that was a nice little accident there, Flash. I appreciate that. Mr. Everest is, I really appreciate all this work that he's done. I would say he's the pre-runner of my Howlism, lessons from behind the woodshed. And a lot of great teachers out here that one might use as the litmus test, I guess, perhaps, in being able to let those buoys float out there and give us some good markers for heading. So anyways, hey, Brent, what would you like to add in? Because you, I find also to have a great mind and a very good understanding of what this is, that is, I guess I'd say, the is of it all. So, how are you, brother, and what would you have us to know?
Well, hey, I wanted to just say goodbye to, I guess, Mr. Epperson, say hello to Miner Dave, say hello to you, Vince, and to you, Flash, over there in the, I think he's, what is he in, Sweden or Denmark? I think he's Denmark, right?
Yeah, he's got marks on his den, too.
No, hey, I just kind of got drawn into the conversation just asking a question, kind of backtrack a little bit. It was a question probably more for Miner Dave, but it was a question when it was kind of coming down to, he was talking about religious freedoms and you know, the constitutional rights that we have, whether you agree with that or not. I'd like to say they're the Universal Bill of Rights and human rights in general, but as far as, I guess, religious freedoms, my question to Miner Dave would be, and it's just kind of a silly question, but I would like to ask it since I got drawn into the conversation. And I say this because it kind of ties into the license requirement aspect of what he was talking about in terms of employment or driving in general. They can take it away on a whim or take your livelihood away in a whim, all of which is causing homelessness across the nation, causing problems with social services. And these are a lot of people that just want to work, but they have so many constraints with licenses and all that. But my question kind of comes down to religious freedom, and I saw this because I saw it it was on a job board. Somebody, you know, I didn't really know how to take it, but I kind of figured in principle they have the right. But what it was for it was third-party education, and it was a religious school is what it was. And one of the prerequisites was that you had to be of a certain religious sect or order. And I guess in principle I kind of agree with that, but it also kind of comes down to the law. Do you think that a business has the lawful right to claim somebody has to be of a specific religion, or are we hinging on basic discrimination at that point? I'm just kind of curious about that. And then the other thing I'd like to kind of see is you know, just kind of maybe touch on the whole license aspect. If nothing else, just say I totally agree with what he just said. It's problematic, all the written and contractual law that we're running into that's causing the license and all that. But then I kind of like to see what you think about cryptocurrencies, smart contracts, and I hear that the Jefferson Mining District is looking into perhaps minting cryptocurrency. So anyways, I'd like to start off with that question.
Okay, hey Dave. Yeah. Well, hold on, just 1 sec, Dave. Yeah, you were speaking of that yesterday about once you actually smelt the ore, that it then becomes a taxable asset, whereas as the ore, as the unrefined, it is remains as a property that's not lienable, I guess. So, and also, Mr. Everson, that was fun and pun from Vince.Flash. That's me and Flash together. That's Flash and Vinny. License grants you freedom, and I say, hail freedom. Mr. Epperson, of course, says he did not agree, and this is to the point. A license grants you privilege, and it is controlled by the grantor. And yes, that is that is our joke. Yes, and well, if I may, says Mr. Epperson, if people see that comment, even thought you meant it in the fun, they could think it does. But the truth is that it restricts freedom. And yes, that was the point. Flash and I, we have funny little word games back and forth, and just to see who can be the most ridiculous statement. So, Dave, let me hand you back to Mike and respond to that question there. As far as
I want to respond to Mr. Emerson
Epperson.
Smart guy.
Ralph, hold on. Ralph-Epperson. Ralph-Epperson. Yeah, find him,
ralph-epperson.com.
Pardon?
Spell it for me. Spell his last name.
E-P-P, like puppy dogs. E-R-S-O-N. Ralph.
That's another way to spell Everest in German. That's another way to spell my last name in German. He's a cousin. There's got to be. Anyways, the response to the question about freedom of religion, I don't believe an employer is private people. They can choose who to hire and who not to hire at will. But now, on the other hand, I wouldn't. Then me as a consumer could say, well, I don't like it that he's restricting people's freedom of their religion for whatever reason. They can donate their money to anybody they like. I don't care, as long as it's not bribery. Now, to the question of licensing, this is the problem we have. Now, I used to have a bunch of different licenses that went away. For one is one of the licenses I didn't want to carry anymore because it was killing me. And I had a pesticide license to treat power poles for killing bacteria. When I discovered
did we lose Dave?
I think so.
Oh, well. So, hey, I'm dropping the reallibertymedia.com link right there.
Yeah, for some reason I dropped off.
Okay, well, there you are back. So, yeah you can listen.
So, anyways.
Yeah, you can listen, for those listening downstream, because I will be tagging and bagging this up here this weekend and putting it up. But not this afternoon, just like yesterday's, I've got to put up. I've got some daylight hours to accomplish some things. But this weekend, we'll get this together. And so if you're listening downstream on YouTube, where's that? Google Tube? Something like that. Come on back over here to reallibertymedia.com and check out the social media site at worldtruth.org. Thanks, Grammy Mary, for that, and Grimner, of course, at reallibertymedia.com. And a big shout-out to Jules over at ucy.tv. All the fine folks, the chatters there, and over here, and over yonder, and you, the listener. This is the invite to come on over and check her out. So, I'll hand it back, Dave.
Yeah, so we're talking about licensing. Certain things I could see having licenses for, because I don't know if they're constitutional right for to be a doctor without being able to show that you're competent. But, you know, they don't need to control every aspect of everything. There's lots of professions that really they require licenses for. They don't need licenses for, I'd say about 70% of them. The ones that should have licenses would be professional people with duties of trust. Like if you were going to be a trustee, well, maybe they have to be licensed to be a trustee. That would be a good idea because then you could pull their license and then they would be pulled off the trust. That would be a reasonable license to have. You know, somebody would, people to get into government, maybe to become an employee of the government, maybe they should have to put up a $500,000 bond to go to work for the government. See, if we could get that into requirement where you have to put up and pay every month to keep a bond to stay on your job, and I'm not talking about the government buying the bond, I'm talking about you buying the bond if you want to go to work for government. I'm not talking about elected officials, I'm just talking about the bureaucrats that get appointed to government jobs. Maybe they should be required to put up a $500 million bond, and that they have to pay for it. I mean, whatever we can come to as we the people, the sovereigns of the country, should decide maybe if you're going to be a government employee, you have to post your own bond, just like a corporation would have to do if they were going to have employees. I know employees that require bonds from their employees. They usually pay it because it's just easier because the employees don't make enough money to pay their bond. But private people have to put up bonds for their employees. But I think because government, they have immunity, a lot of times from being having anything happen to them. Well, maybe we get them where they have to be licensed and pay a professional license fee and a professional tax. By the way, it's in the law. All we have to do is get it signed in, get a petition going. It's already in the law. All you have to do is do a petition meaning who you're going to put in charge of it to require the bonding. You just need to put up the way for the government employees to come in, where they have to pay their professional tax for working for the government. I'm proposing a tax on it. By the way, it's in the Constitution. You can do this. If you want to require government employees, you can have them require them. They post a bond. They pay a professional license fee tax. See, right now those guys are all exempt. The only ones that have to do it is people on the private. Well, they got it backwards. The private people shouldn't have to do it. Government people should have to do it, and government people only should have to do it. So maybe we do a ballot initiative in all 50 states, and we propose it for Mark Levin's states initiative to put amendments in the Constitution. And then one of them we definitely want to do is we want to get state rights back. Well, we have to bring our senators back to being agents of the state, where they're appointed by the government and approved by the state legislature. We have a fiduciary duty to the state. When we had that amendment, just putting them up to vote, we voted for an albuquerque. Whoever did that. All we need is a constitutional amendment repealing that one and replacing it with the original one. The governor appoints them, the state legislature approves them, and then the state legislature can recall them, or the governor can recall them if they get this wild thing up their butt. And then you can have a change in the Senate that we hardly rarely do it once they get elected to that office for whatever reason. They go there and they spend 30 years. I think we should have term limits on all those positions, but we have to do it universal, United States wide. We need to do it from the ground up. We need to convince our state legislatures either by ballot initiative. By the way, you don't have the state people pick your delegates. You have to run for a delegate to go to that, and it's just to go on just narrowly defined things. You're not opening it up to change the whole Constitution. You're narrowing it up. You're just going in on narrow grounds and only on the subjects you're going to go. Then you just need 2/3 of the state legislatures to pass them, and they become constitutional law. By the way, we should also put term limits on all federal judges. If they're a regular judge, 10 years. If they're appellate court judge, 8 years. And if they're Supreme Court judge, 5 years, and then you should, in that way, they can be promoted, but if they can get appointed to the higher appointments, but if they don't, they have to leave office, and then we get a turnover in a proper judicial system. Secondly, to become a federal judge, a state judge, or a municipal judge, you have to resign the bar. We put this in if you go to work for the administration, it doesn't mean you can't perform that job as a job. You don't need a license to go into court for that. The government could hire you in their law. You could be appointed Supreme Court judge and not have to be an attorney. So the licensing requirements for attorneys are not really required. If you look at the administrative law that we're under, anybody can practice that. Yep, go ahead.
Hey, let me interrupt you for just a moment. We're calling Ralph-Epperson back right here, and I'm going to, as I chuckle, he says, he's ready to get put on the spot anytime, so I thought it was great.
The way he spells his name, it's spelled in German, is Everist, and if I was German, over in Germany, I'd spell it the same way.
He's still ringing anyways, so as I was saying, no answer yet. We'll see. Do he answer? I'm sure he will. But anyways, so
he's going to be. The guy sounds brilliant, though. Who's it much I disagreed with?
Hey, all right, Brent, are you still there? There's Mr. Everson. Roger. Hey, Ralph.
Hey. Hold on.
Hey, okay, we're holding. I thought this would be fun.
Yeah, there I am.
Hey, listen, I thought this would be fun to put you on. I'm going to be gracious and give you 5 minutes to gather up a glass of water. Hey, would you like to go ahead and take the next hour here and give us your presentation on that?
Well, yeah, yeah, sure. If you, I'll do it from memory. Is that okay? But when I do it on a talk show, it takes 2 hours, and it's part of a 4-hour DVD. So I've cut that in half, and I've cut it in half as well.
Wow.
Let's do it, okay?
Okay. All right. We'll see you in 5 minutes.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okie doke. This is fun. You bet.
Yeah, you're gonna have some fun. That's good. Put him on the next hour because that guy's got a brain on him. Because see, I just touched the surface of where he's going. I was getting it out of a dictionary, just going by definitions. The stuff I found out from English into Latin back into English, and he's well. I mean, I found some of the same stuff. I've read the same stuff. Hell, I might have even seen his video. Because see, that stuff interests me. It's interesting stuff to know that the history we think we know, it's not really true. Sometimes I like to talk to him about the 3 places they found. They found Babylon, the Tower of Babylon. It was hit with an atomic bomb, and the reason why I can say that is they found glass there that had uranium in it. And uranium, the only way you get it in glass, it's the only radiation that penetrates and sticks in glass, is from an H-bomb being detonated. And then you got the same thing happening in where Sodom and Gomorrah was. They found that place. And if you look at the Bible, what it says there, Lot's wife turned and looked. Well, remember, they're riding out on camels. Just turn and look meant you had to stop. That means she was too close. It says she was turned to a pillar of salt. Well, salt is another way of saying elements. She was turned to ash, a statue of ash. And you go look at the pictures of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, you'll see people standing there as ash. That's what happened there. They hit them with an atomic bomb. And then Armageddon's already happened, because in Israel they found the town of Armageddon. And it had the same thing, uranium in the glass. So if you got uranium anywhere in glass, that it shows up. The only way it got there is by an H-bomb being detonated. I don't mean a big one. I mean that's what they dropped on the Bikini Islands.
Yeah, you know what we get in our examination in this voyage that we are on, this voyage of discovery. We're gathering up evidence, and so we can make correlation of what it is. And I like to give a reminder to the fact that all evidence. I mean, we don't have all the facts and all the evidence together. So there's certainly many explanations for the possibilities. We've seen that history has been hidden; it's been hijacked. This is fact. So, in a dissemination of the information available, we can certainly give an idea of some certain notions that we might hold. So, it's important to take as broad a look as you can, and that's what I've been doing this last few years that I've been doing this. That I do is following examples of those that use your voice to speak up for trying to affect a change, and that comes by an examination. And so Ralph-Epperson has certainly been a great example for me, and I can name a great many more. And I have, of course.
You've been around a little while. You've been around, Vincent, for you're 50 years old. I'm 55, so we remember things the way they used to be. And back then, our parents taught us things the way it was when they were kids. So we had things passed from one generation to the next. It's not happening anymore. The children of the day don't know their history. That's the problem.
Okay. Hey, Dave. Listen, you're welcome to mute up and hang on.
I'm going to drop off.
The call. Listen, you're welcome.
I'm going to drop off. Because I've got to rest my finger.
Okay.
And,
take care, Dave. Thanks.
And I'll go online.
All right. Have a good one. We'll see you again.
Right.
Brent, go ahead and wrap it up, and we'll introduce Ralph Epperson.
Okay. No, hey, one of the reasons why I wanted to call in, and I do understand that Miner Dave had to take off, was, some of the things that he was just talking about on so many levels, be it licensing, law, governance, mining districts in general, to alterable realities from what he just said. The way that he used to see things versus the way things are now, and how things are being disseminated. And I understand, I heard this from Hal Anthony, that the Jefferson Mining District was looking at just kind of like, it sounds like just initial talks of minting a cryptocurrency, but that's something that I was just going to touch on. Was there's a cryptocurrency called Ethereum, and I would challenge anybody to step up to the plate and look into this technology as it relates to smart contracts and the fact that it is open and transparent and unalterable. That is something that it's coming down to contractual law, but what's interesting is tying that in with the Wild West and the 1867 mining laws. But I think what's interesting with that is the whole issue of contracts in general and what can be done through executing this through blockchain technology, basically. And I also think that the whole issue of licensing, which is a privilege versus rights, and that's another topic in and of itself. But I think that by writing contracts in a way that can be executed maintains our freedom. And I think that is something that I don't care if you're a major city or a localized economy or a mining district. I think that what's interesting with this technology is that it can spell it all out for us without human error or falsehoods, like is being seen through contractual law or the Bar Association as it's playing out. So that's the tie-in that I think can come about this, and I think that it might be worth exploring a bit more. I mean, just to throw out an example, it kind of comes down to caucusing and delegates and the whole election process, but it's been rumored that Ukraine is looking at implementing Ethereum for their upcoming elections, because it is transparent and can't be rigged, because we all know he who counts the votes wins.
That's right. And it's all rigged. And I'm gonna say, I'm gonna call it yippee-ki-yay, Al-Qaeda. And I mean, there's a lot of laughs that you can get out of that, but there's also some information that is contained within that everybody ought to have a look at and see if there's not any legitimacy in some of these actions people are taking. So hey, thanks, Brent. We're gonna bring in Ralph Epperson now. We're encroaching upon what he's already condensing from 4 hours. So we're gonna hear about this. The moons of Mars and the orbits and the horns and the red tails.
Let's leave that for another day, Vince. If I may, let's continue this study of how the Constitution was given total unlimited power and how that applies to what's happening today. And we'll do it very briefly. Okay, let's just say.
Great. And let me interrupt real quick then, and ask Brent that you stick around, and we'll let Ralph run and come back for some interjection along the way.
Okay, let me go back and repeat what I said just as in summary form. The Founding Fathers gave Congress total unlimited power. If words have any meaning, the words in all cases whatsoever mean in all cases whatsoever. It doesn't mean until Thursday or when the president decides to go to Borneo and give away something. It means all. All means all. So they had the power to do whatever they jolly well want to, and they still have that power. It's still in the Constitution. Now let's study the Constitution, 1787. Let's go to Article 1, Article 1. The government, the Founding Fathers decided to divide the power because they had just come from a monopolistic monarchy that had all power. So they're going to divide the power into what they call checks and balances, branches of government, the legislative in Article 1, the executive in Article 2, and the judicial in Article 3. In other words, and they call it checks and balances. If the president gets too powerful, the Congress and or the Supreme Court can stop it. If the Supreme Court gets too powerful, the Congress and or the president can stop it. That was the reason, because of the Declaratory Act. They said, we're going to divide the power. So now, let's go to Article 1, which creates the legislative branch of government, and it reads, powers herein granted. Granted. What does it mean, granted? Listed. Delegated. We're going to specify. They're going to be listed one after the other. So now we go to Article 1, Section 8, Article 1, Section 8. And we're going to read, quote, the Congress shall have the power to, and then they listed 17 and only 17 specific granted powers. And I'll briefly cover them. To collect taxes, regulate commerce, naturalization, coin money, punish counterfeiters, establish post offices, promote the sciences, constitute tribunals, to punish piracy, declare war, raise an army, provide a navy, make rules for the navy and land, etc., call forth a militia, and then organize the militia. Now notice, we just listed 16 specific delegated powers. Did either of you, or how many are on the line right now, did any of you recognize anything there about stem cell research? It's got to be a delegated power. Was it in there? Congress voted my tax money to study stem cell research. Was there anything there about orbiting a space telescope? How would the Founding Fathers have known about space telescopes in 1787? They didn't know about it because they didn't know what it was. But they got it up there someplace a few years ago. We orbited a space telescope. How about foreign aid? Is there anything in there about foreign aid? No. We're giving money away by the billions, but there's no constitutional delegated power to do that. But until we read Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, the 17th of the 17 powers. Congress shall have the power to exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever. Huh? What? Did you just hear that? The power to legislate in all cases whatsoever. Where have we seen those words before? In the Declaratory Act and in the Declaration of Independence, when our Founding Fathers admitted that was total power. Did the Founding Fathers just give Congress total, unlimited power? Yes, if language has any meaning. You cannot argue this. There it is. They've known they've had the power since it was written. Now, let me finish one little sidelight to that. 56 men signed the Declaration, and only 39 signed the Constitution. So there were there any who signed both? Yes, there were 6 men who signed both, including Ben Franklin. So now, Ben Franklin knew about the Declaratory Act because he was there when they said that the power to legislate in all cases whatsoever is an absolute tyranny. They knew about it. But he didn't stop them from doing it this time. Why? Why? Ben, you were a little negligent there. Why didn't you stop them? Why didn't the other 5 stop them? Then they didn't do it. Why? Now, you cannot answer that question. Why would they do this unless you agree they intended to do it? They knew what they were doing. Now, let's take a couple of more things. Let's go to Article 2. Hillary Clinton can be elected, but not inaugurated. Oh, no, wait a minute, Ralph. We don't discriminate. Yes, we do. Article 2 defines the duties and functions of the executive branch, meaning the president. Now, they use the word he or his 15 times. Not once did they say the president shall have, or whoever's elected or inaugurated. They said he shall have this power, his powers include, etc. His. Does the word his mean women or female? No. It means male, man. Why? Why did they restrict it to men only? Why? Because when the Founding Fathers created this nation, only men, according to the Old Testament, could own property. Women couldn't own property, only men. And they realized the men who were performing the government said, listen, we're going to make sure that only property owners can be elected president, and they won't vote taxes on property. So this way, a further way, will restrict the access of the big government. So Hillary is a female, she's a her or a she, and therefore can't be inaugurated, period, unless the Constitution is null and void. And that's where we're going. We'll get into that. Now let's go to the 10th Amendment. I'm getting my copy of the Constitution in front of me, and I'm flipping pages to the 10th Amendment. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Now, let me give you a little example. I'll use Vince. Vince, you're going to come to Arizona and visit Ralph-Epperson like you did once before. And we'll be sitting out in my patio, and you're going to start to notice it gets rather warm. I don't say hot in Tucson. We always say warm. So you say, gee, Ralph, you got anything to drink? It's getting warm in here. And I said, oh, yeah, I'll tell you what, Vince, I've got a pitcher of lemonade. I just made it this morning. You'll notice there's a lemon tree in the corner of my lot back there, and I pulled those lemons off, cut it and sliced it and juiced it, and put it in filtered water, and I used good sugar to make it sweet, and it's been sitting in the refrigerator in a glass pitcher. So here's what I'll do. I'll go inside, get the pitcher and 2 glasses. And when I come back, Vince, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pour out the lemonade in my glass first, and then whatever's left over for you will be yours. Isn't that a deal? You say, sure, Ralph, I'm thirsty. There must be enough for 2 of us. So I pour out the lemonade, and it just fills my glass, and there's nothing left. Is that what they just did with states' rights? The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution. How much power did the Constitution give the United States? Total unlimited power. There's no lemonade left. There's no such thing as a constitutional states' right. It doesn't exist and hasn't existed since Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. You cannot argue the words. Either they mean it, what they meant, or not. Now, let's finish this. I'll end with this, and then it will take another 10 minutes, and we'll be finished. Let's now go to the 13th Amendment. We fought a civil war, and the issue was slavery. Well, if you read The Unseen Hand, you're going to find out that the issue was not slavery. Well, they had to get a war, so they decided to divide the United States into a north and a south to fight the war, to force America into the creation of a central bank. You see, that was the reason for the war, to force America into a war so then they couldn't pay for it, so they'd have to borrow money for the bankers. But anyway, so we fought a war. Now we're going to make up for all of this abuse. We're going to pass the 13th Amendment. And here's what it reads. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude shall exist within the United States. Okay, no, let's define slavery. Slavery is forcing someone to do something they don't want to do. It's against the law. We cannot force free people to do what they don't want to do. But we're going to see how that's been amended as well. Now, what's involuntary servitude? My best guess is when you sign a contract. We force you into a contract, a written, and it says you shall work for me on Thursdays at no wages, and you come at 8 o'clock and leave at 10 or whatever it is, and that's involuntary servitude. So we're going to exclude that as well. But notice voluntary servitude is permitted. Free men are free to volunteer anytime they want as part of their freedom to become a slave. Some people might want to do that. Let's just say after the Civil War is over, the people, after the 13th Amendment was passed, these slaves go back to their master and say, listen, I can't make it in the real world. I don't have any skills. I want to come back and work for you. If you'll agree to pay me all work exactly as I did before, and they're free to do that. They're free to become slaves. They're not slaves anymore, but they are because they're doing it voluntarily. If the man said, well, I'm glad you came back, I'm going to force you to work, then that's the 13th Amendment would prohibit that. Voluntary servitude is permissible. Now we read the 14th Amendment. 14th Amendment. All persons... Wait. What's a person? A person lives by privilege. Privilege. A member of the people live by unalienable rights. We, the people, do ordain and establish this Constitution, and in essence, and recognize the fact that we have unalienable rights endowed by our Creator, which means no government can take them away. They certainly do, but they don't have the right to do it. So now, persons live by privileges I'm going to prove to you. Let's continue. All persons born or naturalized in the United States. Now, where's that? We just read we didn't finish it very well, but we read in the Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, the United States is only Washington, D.C. to exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever, as made by session of particular states and the acceptance of Congress, become the seat of the government of the United States. The 10-mile square is the capital of the United States, a separate government. You'll notice this. The congressmen have their own Social Security program. They have their own retirement program. I don't know, I guess they pay taxes, but probably not. If they do, it's much different. They have their own... they actually run every affair of the Washington, D.C., I'll call it the district. The District of Columbia is run by Congress with absolute power granted by the Congress of the founders to the Congress over Washington, D.C. And I'll give you two little examples. In my files, I got two little articles I found in my newspaper. One was once where they arrested a man for gun in a holster. Well, the Second Amendment gives us the right to carry... No, not if there's no Second Amendment. You see, Congress has the power to legislate in all cases whatsoever. So they decided to tell the city council to pass a law making it illegal to carry a weapon in a holster in the District of Columbia. Now, I live in Tucson, Arizona, and I go to meetings with patriots who have got guns in holsters because we're allowed to do so. Every state can do this if they wish. Arizona's decided to give us the right, to recognize the right. And I'm glad they're there, by the way. So now... we've got the persons naturalized, born or naturalized in the United States, are citizens of the United States. Oh, no, what does that mean? Let me give you a best example. It's called naturalized. It says born or naturalized. Now, I was not born in the United States. I was born in a state called Arizona. And if you were born in Michigan, you were born in the state known as Michigan, part of America. Now, by the way, let's go... the United States of America does not exist. That's a figment of the imagination. There's no such nation as the United States of America. The Founding Fathers in the Declaration said the word united was not capitalized. It's not a noun or a name. The word states is capitalized because in grammar, when you refer to specific states as they were doing, those 13 original states, you capitalize the word S. So we were creating a nation of America by the states who were united. So we got a nation called America, period. That's it. But now we got a nation called the United States. And they're allowed to set their own rules and limits and everything else. As they do. Congress has separate privileges that you and I don't have. Why? Because they're a separate nation. They're not part of the United States, a part of America. They're part of the United States. So now, all persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Let me give you a little example. Arnold Schwarzenegger is a naturalized citizen. Schwarzenegger, when he ran for the governor, they called him the Governator because he made a movie called whatever it was, The Interceptor or whatever it was. So they called him the Governator. So anyway, Arnold Schwarzenegger is a naturalized citizen. What does that mean? He was born in Austria, decided he wanted to come to the United States, and he had to go through a process that was spelled out. They've got the power to decide who comes into the country, or the power to naturalize into the United States. So Schwarzenegger, I want to go there. So they said, okay, come, but you have to have someone sign for you. So when you get here, they'll give you a job and they'll keep you, give you money for food and restaurant, lodging and also clothing, etc. And take care of you for 5 years. You'll have a visa, not a passport. So it's restricted to 5 years, and then if you don't take the test, we'll tell you to go back home. So he's there for 5 years, and he filed out the papers, and he got to come in, and he was subject to this contract he signed with some man who was going to take care of him, etc., house him and feed him. And then 5 years, and then Schwarzenegger took a little class all about the Constitution and the laws and what a governor was and the Senate, the House, and how you pass a bill. He learned all that stuff, and then he raised a left hand. Got a little white plastic flag that he had on a stick, and he waved that, and then raised his right hand and took an oath of allegiance to the United States with all power. I don't know that Schwarzenegger knows. He just signed in to the most tyrannical government ever devised by man. How? It's all constitutional. It's legal. Congress has the power. Period. It's there. So he didn't, I don't think let's say he left Austria because it was too socialist. My God, he just agreed to a government that has all power over him. I don't think he knows that. I don't know whether he would even want to hear it, but I'd love to tell him. I'd love to sit down with him and point out to him what he just did. Okay, so now we're persons are naturalized in the United States. We're subject to the United States. We're citizens of the United States. How did we become a citizen of the United States? By getting a socialist security card. Let's call it what it is. Socialist security card. Now, when I was in high school, almost finished, I was in high school, my senior year, we had a class called civics. We learned all about government in our civics class. So the teacher said, I got a lady coming here from the Socialist Security Administration, and she's going to talk to you. She said, okay, I paraphrased, of course, this was 50 years ago. Hey, kids, we're all going to graduate from high school here pretty soon, and you're going to go out for your first job, and when you do, you're going to be asked for a number. And well, he said, I don't have a number. He said, well, gee, that's what we got. We got numbers over the Social Security Administration. You come in, we'll give you a number, then you go out and get a job. Oh, okay, good. So when I went to my first job, the man says, you got a number? I said, oh, boy, do I really? There it is, baby. I got a number here. So it is sitting on a piece of paper, and I got the job. And I got my first paycheck for $100 for a week or a month, whatever it was, and I noticed it was for $75. What's this other $25? Where'd that go? That's for taxes. Well, I didn't agree to taxes. I thought I was getting a number. No, you signed a contract that included the right to tax you because of you're a citizen of the United States. Wait a minute, I didn't make it. Yes, you did. You asked for a benefit from the United States, the government known as the United States, and they could only grant it to citizens. So you must have known that. It's not our fault that you don't have to get it. I've got 2 letters I show in my DVD that tell you from their own words that it is voluntary. Getting a number is voluntary. The lady said we had to have one to get a job. That's not true. It's not true. She was lying to us, and she knew she was lying to us. How do I know that? Because of what happened. When I walked in, I got a Social Security card, but the darn things gave them the permission to tax me, change the rules under my Social Security anytime they want to, raise it, lower it, take it away. It's all a privilege. Persons live by privilege, and the proof of that is in the Roe v. Wade decision. If you get it out and read it, you'll read that the fetus, by the way, it's no longer a baby, it's like a hangnail. You cut it off and you throw it away. You're allowed to do that, so you're allowed to kill this fetus because it's not covered and protected by the 14th Amendment as a person. It actually says that. You see, being alive is now a privilege which can be taken over all of us because we are citizens of the United States. And the last little story is this. Little Ralphie, way back when I was in college, my brother was in college, my mother and father and my grandmother, the five of us, went to Nogales just on a day's trip. We drove across the border. When we got to the border of Mexico, and where are you going? He said, we're just going to Nogales to go shopping. So we were crossing into a nation called Mexico, and they granted us the right from Arizona to come in and spend American dollars. Of course they want you to come across. So we went there and did our shopping, bought stuff, and Mom bought jewelry, and Dad bought some liquor, and we monkeyed around, and maybe even ate dinner or whatever, and came back. Now we're back in the car, driving back towards the border. And my mom says to my grandmother, her mother, Grandma, when we get to the border there, the man's going to ask you, where are you born? Where were you born? And Mom says, well, Grandma, don't say Poland because he'll ask you for your papers, and if you don't have your papers, you can't get in. So please, just say New York, because she had an accent. And my mother said New York because she was born in New York. So it came to Grandma, where were you born? Born in New York. Everybody, five of us answered correctly. We were able to come back in. But by the way, when you enter this land, it's called America, and you're coming into the state of Arizona, our state constitution defines our borders, which means the southern border is the Mexican border. Which means when they cross, they're not entering the United States, they're entering America. America, the state of Arizona. That's why the question when they came across us, where were you born? If you're born in Arizona, you're in Michigan, or any of the states, you're allowed to come back in. 2 years ago when I went across the border, I came back, I walked, of course, by myself. I walked across the border, and the man now from the government of the United States says, are you a citizen of the United States? Notice the question has changed. It was, where were you born? Meaning, what state were you born in, or what nation were you born? Now it's, are you a citizen? What made me a citizen? The fact that I got a Socialist Security card. Check your 1040 form. It says only citizens of the United States have to pay taxes. How did you become a citizen? By filling out the Socialist Security card. They granted you a privilege, and they can only give it to citizens. So you must have felt you were a citizen. Yes, now you are. And when you come back, you don't answer Arizona or Michigan. You say, yes, I'm a citizen because I pay. There's no law requiring you to get a Social Security card, nor pay income taxes. You know that. People have actually, IRS agents have tried to find the law, and they can't find it, and they work there. You've seen those TV programs, and you've seen the speakers and heard them, you know. They're telling you there is no law. They can't find it. One guy got fired because there was no law, and he said, if you keep asking for it, you give us your gun and your badge and get out of here. There's no law because of the 13th Amendment. They cannot force you to pay income taxes because you're not a citizen of the United States unless you get a Social Security card. Do you understand? This is where we are, America. Who else is saying this? I'll end with this last thought. As far as I know, only dumb little Ralph-Epperson. I'm saying 47 million of us have got to say this. We got to put a stop to this. But that's it. That's as brief as I can make what's happening in this country. Okay? You still there?
Well, yep, you bet. there's a lot to be said for certain, and a good examination. Let me ask you about the 13th Amendment. There was one that is not the one that we see today. Can you tell us about that?
I have a copy of it in my files, and I've read it, and I've had a young man that used to travel. I don't know what he did, but he used to travel a lot, and he'd show up at the Breakfast Club, and he was a very pleasant guy, and he liked me, and so he showed me one day a little book he bought in Georgia, and it was a book published by the Georgia legislature, and it quoted the original 13th Amendment as the 13th Amendment. And the 13th Amendment means if you get an honor or a privilege from a nation, you can't hold office in America, including becoming a member of the bar. So the 13th Amendment, when they passed the new 13th Amendment, just kind of kicked it aside and said, well, we don't remember that. It was passed and it doesn't apply. So the 13th Amendment 1 is gone. We have 13th Amendment 2 now.
So these holding these foreign titles or so forth, as in being a member of the Bar Association. Now, that all connects back then to the Crown, which is not necessarily the Queen or any person head wearing a crown. That this existence, this institution, just as Washington, D.C. is the United States, a separate power, and of course the Vatican has a separate entity as far as like a city-state in a sense, but independent. So this, and I think they all interconnect. So from the United States and these Crown members, these Bar Association members that are writing procedure for law, and then that then is interpreted, whereas legal then is interpreted as law. And we see that's all been supplanted here to kind of backdoor in and trick us all into this voluntary servitude that you've been talking about, which is then we're looking then at the 14th Amendment. So re-explain the 14th Amendment and how it not and this of course would I believe Clive and Bunya have been speaking about is that racist so-called comment. Back sometime there a couple years ago, narrowly now. But anyways, how we're all slaves. It enslaved us all, and voluntarily we commit ourselves to the plantation. So I'll hand it back to you on that.
Well, go back to the question. Notice that when you come across the border, they ask you if you're a citizen of the United States, which means those people know. They might not know how it got there, but let's just presume they started their job, since this law was changed. So they were trained. Okay, when the people come across the border, ask them whether they're a citizen of the United States. So last time, by the way, I knew about this before I got to that point. So I just laughed and said I was born in Arizona, and then laughed he let me go on. But if he had said, well, no, are you a citizen? I say, wait a minute, I'm going back to my home state of Arizona. Here's my copy of the Constitution of Arizona, which says that's the border. And it's a nation called America. I'm going back to America, not the United States. I'm not going into Washington, D.C. I'm going into the state of Arizona. Now, lastly, it's our obligation as a state to protect our border from these illegals coming across the border, not the government of the United States. We should build the wall. We should protect it. So anyone comes across, we in the state of Arizona can send them back or make sure they don't come across by building a wall that's going to protect us. So the states of Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and California should all get together and let's build the wall that we're obligated to build to protect the citizens of Arizona. These people, we taxpayers in Arizona are paying for education, medical care, etc. for these illegals. Why? Because the government of the United States believes it's their obligation. The Washington, D.C. is only Washington, D.C. Please, it's so simple. The language jumps out at you. I'm saying, do words have meaning or not? Yes, they do. Sorry. That's where we are.
But that is, after all, the purpose of government is to waste and spend and to to cause these needs to be addressed. They create situations. They use that unseen hand, right, to
exactly.
Direction.
Well, let's read the 14th Amendment together. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. That means that Arnold Schwarzenegger is a citizen of the United States and the state wherein he resides. You and I are citizens of the United States because we're subject to the jurisdiction thereof because we got a Social Security card. There is no law. There is no law requiring this. And by the way, let's talk about this. There's just a proposal now to start drafting women. When that happens, you and I and all of us who love this country have got to point out there's no right to draft anybody because that's involuntary servitude. And I'll give you an example. This happened during the Vietnamese War. Now, this is the second-hand story. My friend who used to run the Breakfast Club in town told us this story himself. It happened to him. He said during the Vietnamese War, he had a phone call from a friend of his in Benson, which is 80, 90 miles away in Arizona. And he said, my son's number just came up, and he got a draft notice to go to Tucson on make it January 1st, or July 1st, the year 1970, and I don't want him to go. What can I do? Here's what you do. He told the father to tell his son, go there at 8 o'clock, just like they said. Make sure, in fact, you're there first, so they don't get you for running away or hiding. Make sure you get there at 8 o'clock and sign in and do whatever you can. Take every test they give you. Don't lie on the white papers you fill out about who you are and where you're born, etc. And then don't lie about your physical condition. Don't claim you got a disease you don't have and they can't find it because they'll kick you out and maybe even fine you. And then after all of those who are eligible, meaning there'll be some people who can't because they're stupid or they don't pass the IQ test or they got physical problems that would prohibit them from being a good soldier, all of those who remain are going to be called into one room together by the man who's in charge. And I presume it was an officer, let's say a captain. And he walks out and says, ladies, gentlemen, we want to thank you for coming in today. And you've all passed the examinations we gave you. So here's what we're going to do. We're all going to take one step forward, and then we're going to take an oath of allegiance into the United States Army. Now, what's the step forward for? Well, you got to volunteer. They can't force you because there's no draft. There's no power to draft anybody. The militia is voluntary. That's the only power they got under the Constitution. No. So now here's what he told the father to tell his son. As soon as he hears those words, take the step forward, have him shout out. What rights am I giving up if I take the step forward? The guy won't answer you. So he said, everyone else took the step forward. Okay, let's all step forward. The young man was told to stand there, don't move. You can breathe, but don't move. And he didn't move. He stood there for 20 minutes. They all marched out. They had orders to, go home and go to so-and-so fort on Thursday and wherever it was. They'd be assigned, or wherever it was all set up. So they left, and now he's down there by himself in one room, standing at the same spot. And 20 minutes later, the captain came out and said, thank you for coming in, Jim. Here's your bus fare from Benson to Tucson, and your bus fare back because just to cover even the expenses of driving a car from Benson. So, and he said, you're free to go, and he walked out the door. The captain knew he was tricking them because if they all stood, they couldn't be drafted. They don't want to admit you're a person of the United States. They don't want to admit it. They can't. That's it. There's no right to draft, no right to pay taxes, no right to collect taxes, no right to force you into getting a Social Security card, all because of the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment number 2. Okay? You still there? Hey.
I am. I was having trouble landing my mouse on the unmute.
Well, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm liking it. So we see we've been kind of tricked all along, have we not?
Yes.
what would you say there's like a lineage almost, I guess, that this powers that, of course, there's front people. We see all types of connections, Kissinger and the Bushes and the Clintons and all strolling hand in hand, all the while pretending that there's some kind of great difference that can be made by choosing one or the other. Where do you see that we're going to be ending up? Where's our history? What's the future history?
I'll make this very brief because I've got other work to do, and I'm trying to be helpful. I always am. If you had called and asked for this in advance, I would have made sure I would have cleared the time out. Let me just answer that very quickly. Bill Clinton knows that there's a conspiracy. He told us on live national television. Bill Clinton told us there was a conspiracy live on national television in 1992. He admitted that Dr. Carroll Quigley got him into politics. Well, who on earth is Dr. Carroll Quigley? Dr. Carroll Quigley is the man who taught him there was a conspiracy, and also taught him to go get a Rhodes Scholarship, and he did that, and then also told him to join the Council on Foreign Relations, and that's what he did. He admitted, he praised Dr. Carroll Quigley on live national television. And Quigley, in his book that we know for certain, because it was been published in a magazine, alumni magazine in Georgetown, that it was a required reading for his students, Quigley students, in the class that we know that Clinton took. Clinton had to read the book. So he learned both parties are controlled by the same people. Now, wait a minute. Bill Clinton said this? How come the media's not telling us that? Why? I wonder why. They can't tell us. Because if they tell us, we're going to say, this is stupid. I don't like this.
Well, you've been telling us for a while, and I appreciate it, Ralph.
You're very kind, Vince. Anytime I can be of help, please call me, let me know, and we'll work something out. You
bet. You've been very gracious. Thanks for joining us today. We'll talk to you again.
Have a nice day. Thanks very much, Vince.
Thanks. All right. Hey, Brent, we still got you on with your ear to the phone, I think. Anyways, let me go look at the Skype screen. Yeah, there's Brent. He may be away doing some stuff there. So
delay with my mic. I muted myself. There's like a 5-second delay. So.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. You was listening there at the player there at Real Liberty Media. So, if you'd like to take the mic, I'll show her hand to you.
There's just it kind of sounds like it's just interesting how people like us, we've never met each other, but I think that if we sat down and had a beer that we wouldn't be disagreeing with too much. And it's just kind of interesting with this technology that we can even hold these kind of conversations and just realize that we're all on the same page and kind of coalesce and put our minds together. And it's, anywhere from Mr. Epperson to yourself, Minor Dave, it just kind of sounds like there's a lot of wisdom in this room or space, and I guess how do we advance things from this point other than what we're trying to do, and just kind of talking about it. I think some of the common stuff that we're touching on is that we're recognizing, at least we are, that we're giving up rights for privileges, and there's just so much trickery going on. But there is no law anymore. The law is whatever they trick us into. And, that's not a good way of life. It's tyranny. Anytime somebody steals something and does it because it's trickery or underhanded ways or through the law or deception, it certainly isn't right. And I guess that's what's interesting is, I'm kind of picking up on, there might be I hear that you're 50, I'm 47. Maybe we have people younger than us. Maybe we have people that are older than us, but we're recognizing the same things. And it's just, it's kind of disheartening, but at the same time, at least there's a little bit of sunlight, a little glimmer there that we're at least recognizing. I guess it kind of comes down to how do we make things a little bit more perfect out there? How can we use the technology and the forums that we do have to advance some of either the ideas or at least wake up other people? And I know that I've had my battles in court. I know that they lie. I know that they cannot be trusted, and these are on small level things, and they take things on a case by case basis, but it really affects your life. It affects your future, and again and again they do it with strong arm tactics, and it's these wolves beset our door, and I guess at what point do we just come out and start kicking the dogs? Because you're not scared of them anymore. And I guess that's what's interesting to start having that discussion at this time. And also, how do we use the technology to eliminate those that are acting in the color of the law and deceiving people through license agreements or complete voting blocks or whatever? And I do believe the time has come that we have the technology and the capabilities to hold people accountable by contract, something that's not alterable and that people cannot be deceived. What are your thoughts on that, Vince?
I'm sorry, I was bouncing back and forth. Hey, we have Anon Radio US. Welcome over here to reallibertymedia.com over here in chat. And this is Dustin. There's a lot of networking that I do with a lot of folks from different networks and even just different topics and the passion points thereabouts. So as what I do, excuse me, there's a little frog in my throat connecting voices, had to say, is getting together and sharing one another is always an add, and it never takes away to listen, to share, to consider other voices. And most importantly, I think on this voyage of discovery, we ought to be seeking out different voices, people that are saying things other than our own, that we wish to hear for ourselves, that is. So as I'm trying to catch up here, Grimner and Dustin's now talking over here at reallibertymedia.com in the chat. So, yeah, I'd like to, on our behalf, upload and promote our material here. Yeah, and Graham's at work says, yeah, that sounds awesome. And we have several shows, that's true. This is Flash and Vinny. Then there's the Grammy show. And Hal Anthony, ever awesome Hal Anthony. And, of course, Freakers Ball, that's right. After all. And that was this, so Grammy's on Wednesdays and Fridays, and Hal's on Sundays, and Freakers Ball with Moose Girl and Grimner Fridays, and there's a lot more stuff over there. Tomorrow, we have On the Bridge with Kira. It's at 4 p.m. over there on the right coast, the east coast, otherwise from the left coast of the Pacific, and here I am in the middle, central. And that's kind of where all my explorations has brought me to. So, yeah, the question is, if I offered you a mic, what would you do with it? That's a good question. Bad company, Grams. It comes with the Comic Relief Show. And Grimner says, if you go, the reallibertymedia.com website, on the menu is podcast and a drop-down with all the archives for the various shows. And Barman, go by Real Liberty Media. Real Liberty Media. About Real Liberty, RLM Radio Network. And Grammy does do a little poking around fun at the leeches that be, she says, instead of the powers, as opposed to, and reading a little news there. That's next week. Matter of fact, right here, we've got news, mainstream. Yeah, Antonio Castellan, Channel 3, was that an NBC affiliate? He's going to come on, and we're going to going to do a little human interest story. So we're going to walk through, because I have a sneaky suspicion from what I know about Antonio and having met him out there in Bunkerville that you might be a bit surprised that maybe we might have similar views on some things along the way. And I expect he does. He's been down along the border. Looks good in RLM, Vince/S. Okay, awesome. Yeah, he's reported he's been down across the border and reported on some of the drug cartel. Thanks to God, that's guns, oil, and drugs for our economic system. What would we do without it? And the Federal Reserve note. Thank all of the things that we do, that is. Giddy up. So, did I answer your question? I probably never even touched on it, did I, Brant?
No, you didn't, man.
Thank you. I did my best. So, anyways,
okay. Sometimes I just ramble on. Sometimes I'm kind of used to it.
So yeah, I'm hoping we're getting a little networking going on over here, and so I'm trying to keep up with that. Yeah, so it's safe to say that you would permit me, says Dustin, to upload your material indiscriminately. Yeah, hey, look, let me grab you the YouTube channel where you might also pick that up. And matter of fact, we are still, I'm going to go to the worldtruth.org YouTube channel. We're just over halfway. Look, we're up to 52 subscribers now, and I need another 48 so I can get this thing here named with a official. That'll make us a real people, a custom URL. So here, let me copy this. There's Flash. Bam, there it goes. Look, this is like the mighty magic of the moment. Just that quick. So you might be hearing me just a few seconds later, but there it is. In living color, live, in blue ink screen. Blue screen ink, yeah. By the way, I'd like to remind everybody of our special offer in support of reallibertymedia.com and worldtruth.org. And it's that we have blinker fluid still available. You know, never get low on your blinker fluid because it might call into question your license and ability to drive a car. Oh, wait, I'm not driving. No, seriously, look, hey, if you got them, kick them. Kick the coins, and I know over at UCY.TV, Jules has a place to donate as well, and there's also this option of if you're one of them online shoppers, click on the what is that? Amazon. Yeah, there's an Amazon link. Yeah, there's a UCY.TV store that boom, you click on that and it whatever, kick some pennies. I know Grimder takes some Doge corns and corn pone probably. He's a man of trade. Some of them Bitcoins. Never figured out how to keep them things from falling through a hole in my pocket, though. Anyways, and over at World Truth, the service over there is, the speaker and all that stuff. Runs some coins as well. So, Grammy Mary, we appreciate the help, Grimner and Jules. Thanks, y'all. We're going to round out here in just a few. But anyways, thanks, my brother Flash. This has been Flashing Vinny. Or I've been flashing. Ooh, I see ya. Oh, that's right. And circle line. Hey, check out, did I close it? I reckon I did. I'll open it back up, though, real quick. So I've got this free website right here. All this time, I never had a website. And I was going to say yo and behold, but lo and behold, yolasite.com, that's what matters worldwide, yolasite.com. There's some pretty cool artwork I've included from a friend, an African down there in the south end of the land, Stratum. And Cirque has done some of these putting these words and cropping these pictures together for me to tell the story of This Is No Time for Rational Thinking, all in a matter of what matters worldwide. So hover over any of these little things. You can see it here. Let me just bring it to you. Let me grab it one more time and bring it over here to libertymedia.com chat. And hey, y'all over from UCY.TV, friends over there, where I have I fly the banner of UCY.TV and reallibertymedia.com for World Truth. There it is. What matters worldwide on yolasite.com. And yeah, there's a lot of graphics from Grimner and from Jules and from like I said, the artwork of Alan. Cool dude, man. He says he still can't believe it. People like his art from clean to the other, across the other side of the planet. Parts of it were planned. So yeah, over here you can explore more by clicking the tabs below and above, for that matter. Also, those at the very, very tippy top. You've got Vince easily connecting voices. You can click that, and it'll actually take. I'm learning this stuff as I go along. Take you to another page of the same site, as well as No Bad Questions, which is next week with Antonio. Mainstream news meets the alternative. Yeah, but it's pretty cool. All those little blue tabs, you can click them on there and take you to the site. Right there on top, at the Schools of the Autodidact is Real Liberty Media Daily. Below that, UCY.TV, headline news and radio, broadcasting around the clock. Pig My News, videos, current events from across the world. And then you can see UCY.TV Facebook, UCY.TV YouTube, World Truth, Real Liberty Media Facebook, right there. And remember to check out our website for more Liberty news and media, and also check out that page over at worldtruth.org /Real Liberty Media. That right there. And we've also got World Truth social media. That's what I'm talking about. And of course, the YouTube, which I believe I grabbed and dropped over just a minute ago. And anyway, so this site right now, where's it at? Look at that, 91 visits so far to this fun little page. And when we drop on down, we've got connecting voices. Choco, Kelly, and the bridge, like I said, she's on tomorrow. Kira, dispatches from the Creative Non-Compliance Camp. Kira has a 2-hour discussion with an independent thinker, artist, writer, journalist, actor, activist, funny person, and or musician every Saturday. Join in right here at reallibertymedia.com, 4 o'clock Eastern Time. And don't stop till you get enough. There is Hal Anthony with lessons from behind the woodshed. Like to shout out to Tom over at Resurrect the Republic, Truth Media, Resurrect the Republic. Dirty Uncle Sam, Truth Radio over at Republican Broadcasting over yonder. More recommended classes include Before the First Cup with Jules, Double Crossed Radio, Charles Horton, live Thursdays. Catch Jules Monday through Friday live, 10 a.m. Eastern for that Before the First Cup. All your daily dose of WTF Dystopia News. Oh, that's right. Nathan Fraser, Live Free FM Sunday nights, and Party Central, Learning Central, right here. Central Center, Freakers Ball, everybody, and Grammy's Rocket Chair. We've also got Bo Diddleys and some other folks, and Grimner jamming on some blues out on Sunday before Hal Anthony. There's some more other cool stuff. Stick around. Look, there's Solvener and Twist Conversations. Christopher Stefanik's going to be joining us the first week of March. And, we're going to have some choice conversation, I reckon. Well, Dustin's messaged me, I see. Thanks, Brent. I appreciate it. Yeah, I see you're in. Thanks, Dustin. Thanks,
you're
everybody.
Welcome.
Appreciate you. So I guess we about jammed it out here in a couple of minutes. You want to take a couple of minutes and say something in Flash? Poor Flash has got tape over his mouth. We're going to bring him back in Monday with Larry Woods and untape the mouth of the Flash. So you got the last minute. Love and peace, y'all. Take it out, Brent, and you can hang us up in 1 minute. Mr. Flashman, do. Who? Say goodnight, Gracie. Brent.
Oh, that was me? That was my cue?
Yeah, I'll let you take us out the last minute here. Love and peace.
Let's see. How about if I take y'all out with a bong hit?
Perfect. Perfect.
I wish I could.
Fire in the bowl. Fire in the bowl.
Fire in the bowl. Anyways, I wish everybody a peaceful day, and thanks for having me on. That's a perfect place for me to end it.
Right on. Love and peace, y'all. Thanks, Flash.
Ciao.
Ciao, bye. And this is how we do it. Sure, no.